Hey, welcome back. Dead ball dancing. Just a tiny bit late. I apologize for that. But we got basketball.
We
We have
got we got a
live
slate.
basketball.
We got a slate this week. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is good, man.
Yeah.
Chain links up and running. We got college picks all day long. There's college every single day this week.
Oh,
And we get a Tuesday with no NBA because of the election. So college
is
game
that
just
really
gets to
why?
shine on its own.
I'd rather watch NBA, which is saying something because NBA sucks. So, but college basketball, man, and you got to tell them about Chainlink. I'm going to tell my wife about it. I'm going to get everyone on it. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely will funnel people toward Chainlink. Free to play game. You're just trying to string together as many wins as you can.
Yep.
So you'll see a lot of that from us, but feel
Yep.
free to check that out. But
Yep.
that's not why you're here.
Nope, not today. Nope.
We have up on your screen, this is the Dead Ball Dancing Top 25. This is our top 25. Talked briefly in episode 0 about how it works, but we'll touch on it before we jump into talking about it.
Yep.
This is essentially an aggregate of my top 25 and Justin's top 25, a little bit of Ken Palm in there, and then just a sprinkle of AP poll because some people think that still matters. So
Which it
it really
doesn't.
just keeps us honest.
Yeah, which it doesn't.
So Houston 1, Duke 2, Bama 3, UConn 4, Auburn 5. Shouldn't be anything too crazy right there. That's similar enough to the top of everyone's list.
Yeah.
But Justin, I know where ours starts to get real interesting is in the middle chunks here.
Yep, absolutely. So I know we were, I'm so excited to talk about this right now, but I think for me, just for my particular top 25, my big four that I'm going to keep my eyes on are Iowa State, Baylor, Texas, and Gonzaga. And I'll briefly talk about why for each one of them. Iowa State, I think, is one of the more underrated powerhouses that we've had in the recent 5-6 years. They have some huge chances early. One of their games being against number 5 Auburn, right? They also have UNC or Dayton in November and Marquette at the beginning of December. So big opportunities early for Iowa State. They're tall, they're athletic. They made a deep run in the in March Madness last year, and they have 4 guys averaging more than 10 points a game. So they're incredibly well balanced. They're well coached. And they press. Like I'm not sure if you've watched one of their games, but they press full court and they do not stop. And against young, inexperienced teams like Auburn, right? I think that's gonna turn the ball over quite a bit and have a lot of opportunities to take on these big teams and take them out. Baylor, they got 2 impactful transfers, one from your favorite VCU, Jaden Nunn, and the other from Duke, Jeremy Roach. And again, they have big chances early. They're playing Gonzaga tonight, Arkansas on the 9th, and then either Tennessee or Virginia on the 22nd. So they're well coached. Again, they're tall, they're athletic, just kind of similar build to Iowa State. And so I think they have some big chances early. Now, Texas and Gonzaga, those are the 2 that I think might falter. They joined the SEC for football, right? Like we talked about last week, but I think they're in a world of hurt, right? Because you look at this top 25 and it is littered with SEC teams that are deep. So they were playing Ohio State this week, and are we sure they're even going to beat Ohio State? Like Ohio State's a pretty solid team with some length and some depth. Like I'm not sure they're going to get out of that game unscathed. You know what I mean? And then December, they're loaded with NC State and UConn back to back, and I don't see them winning either of those games. And then Gonzaga, I don't think we know like Gonzaga is one of my biases, but they lost to USC in an exhibition game, right? And their strength of schedule is so weak, it's pitiful, right? The biggest game is 11-4 tonight versus Baylor, and then the rest of the year, it's like their biggest test is St. Mary's, right, Rick? So it's like I don't think they're going to be tested. So those are going to be my big 4. With Gonzaga, I think faltering very early.
Yeah, I kind of like the teams you picked to talk about there. It kind of wraps around the ones that I've got here. 11-15, just really interesting to watch. I feel like other than Creighton, I don't have a really strong read on Tennessee, North Carolina, Purdue, Texas A&M. They're all teams that'll most likely be in the tournament field they would have to really do something wrong to kind of fall out of that consideration. But there's a big difference between winning your conference and going into the tournament as a powerhouse and limping into the tournament. I could see Tennessee, Purdue, A&M being last four in.
Yeah.
Just as easily as they could win their conference.
Yeah.
Tough schedules early.
Very.
And then, you get into either the Big 12 schedule or the SEC schedule, or in Purdue's case, a really tough Big 10.
Very tough.
And so these are the teams I'm just most interested to watch. I feel like there's a lot of movement potential here, for different reasons, whether you're a developing team like Tennessee, it really needs to be able to prove that the athleticism they have on offense matters. Or
Right.
Purdue, where you have to replace one of the best college basketball players of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
North Carolina, where you have continuously disappointed when you don't have these once in a lifetime, one and done kind of players.
Right.
So for me, that's what I'm looking for in this 11 to 15 stretch is who are you this year? Now, man, and I'm not going to get crazy and say these guys aren't making the tournament, but they could fall out of our top 25 pretty quickly if they can't win some of these big games early and they don't look convincing on the court.
Yeah, agreed. I think you put it perfectly. And I'm very interested in North Carolina too, Rick. I know we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's like, I don't trust their coaching. Like, it's just, to me, it's like after they lost Roy Williams, like the consistency has went completely downhill. So I really like your pick of 11-15, but I'm most interested in number 13, North Carolina.
Yeah. Little preview. We'll touch a little bit more on them coming up here. Yeah. So something we're going to do as part of our review of the top 25 is call out 4 teams that we're putting on notice. And they don't have to be ranked, but they're 4 teams that, for whatever reason, we think warrant another look. Something about the team or the schedule or the pacing. There's something that we want to call to your attention. So I'm going to call it on notice for now. Let us know in the comments if there's a different pact we should take there. But Justin, my team's on notice are on notice for very similar reasons. I got Baylor and Arizona this week. And you touched on it with the Zags. Big game tonight for Baylor Gonzaga. This Baylor team could be 0-2 right out of the gate. I mean, you got the Zags, then you play Arkansas. And the Big 12 isn't as tough as it has been in previous years. Baylor will still be a very good team, but there's a big difference between 2-0, 1-1, and 0-2 against that schedule, and it sets the pace for the rest of the year. So it's not like on notice like they're not going to make the tournament, but on notice like you might have to very quickly overcome some adversity and start the season with some big losses to some real teams. So Arizona, kind of the same thing. No tune-up. They play Canisius tonight, and then it's like, oh yeah, well, at Wisconsin, home Duke, and then you got to get your ass to the Bahamas. So they ramp up very quickly. There's no room. They've blown out their exhibition games as most of these big teams do, but there's no tune-up. Like Arizona's gonna thrown into it right away and then goes international. And most of these bigger teams, they have no problem traveling. I've actually been to Battle for Atlantis. Really, really cool, but
jealous, man. I gotta go.
It's not on campus. It's not like get on the bus and do your thing and stay in your routine. It's like you got to get up for a game in Madison. Duke comes to Tucson, and then you have to get on an airplane and go to the Bahamas. So I just feel like there's an opportunity there for them to screw that up. So they're on notice for me because like prove you belong, prove that you are the Arizona that they've kind of grown into over the last 5-6 seasons. And
I really like your Arizona pick too, Rick, because they graduated Pele Larson and a couple other key pieces, and it's like they still got this high ranking at number 8, and deservedly so because they've had those good years, right? But it's like, man, you graduate all those centerpieces and you're still that high, no tune-up. Like, I don't know. I like your pick there. I like your pick.
Who you putting on notice this week?
So for me, I got Dayton and Kansas for 2 different reasons. And I know we talked about Kansas briefly last week, so I'll be quick. But Dayton is more of a field pick. I don't know how to explain this, right? They're experienced. They have a ton of juniors and seniors, right? Every tournament, you blink your eyes, and all of a sudden they're in the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. And it's like, well, how the hell did that happen? Then you start digging into their stats, and they're fundamentally sound on defense. Don't do anything too crazy, but hold their opponents to low field goal percentage pretty much consistently. And they have, great coaching. And then this year in specific, they have huge opportunities in the back half of November. UNC, right? They have either Auburn or Iowa State, and then they have potentially UConn, right? And you're talking about making a statement early. I really like when these teams that are fringe top 25 Ken Palm, fringe top 25 AP get these big tests early, because even if you lose to a UNC by a point or lose to Auburn, number 5, by 5 or 6, that shows you something that they're ready for the tournament, right? And they seem to show up every single year. So for me, it's more of a feel thing. I think Dayton's going to make some serious noise this year. I think the whole A-10 is, honestly. And then Kansas, you can't read too much into an exhibition game, but they got smoked by Arkansas, bad. They almost lost by 20. And I know, again, exhibition, so I'm going to let it go for right now. But they have UNC tonight, or not, is it tonight?
The 8th.
The 8th, I apologize.
Saturday.
Okay, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that one. They got UNC, they got Michigan State, and then they got Duke all in November. Now, I'm not saying they're going to lose every single one of those games. Michigan State, they'll most likely win because Michigan State's a little bit weaker as of recently. But UNC and Duke they might lose that, both those games, pretty bad, right? If you're losing to Arkansas by 16, there's some things you got to figure out regardless of whether or not it's an exhibition game. So I'm worried about Kansas for sure.
Well, we've kind of beat around UNC and Kansas. Why don't we go ahead and share with the team here?
Yeah.
We got a little game of the week action.
Love it.
And it just so happens to be,
let's do it.
UNC Kansas.
Let's do it.
11-8. Neither one of these teams has played their game today yet. We're filming this live on Monday the 4th.
Yep.
They both play this evening. Cupcake games shouldn't be a problem. But I say that to say this line might move. This is a look ahead line. Kansas favored by 4.5, over under 151.5. Our number 16, our number 13 team. This is a good way to start the season off.
Yeah.
I am unclear which way I'm going to bet this game.
Yeah.
But for us, I do know which way I'm going to pick it. And we'll get to that after we break it down a little bit.
Perfect.
But for me, the big thing that stood out, I tried to take a couple big notes from both teams that kind of fed up from the multitude of pages of notes that I had on both. And really, for me, the thing about UNC was that they're undersized. They're kind of tiny. RJ Davis, one of the best players in the country, if not the best player in the country, but he's small too. He gets boxed out by guards that aren't much bigger than he is. If UNC felt to me last year and then looks on paper like they're just small, they're undersized, and that's going to not necessarily show up in ACC ball, but against Kansas, that's absolutely going to be a factor.
Correct.
So that was the big thing for me on UNC. I'm uncomfortable with their size.
Yeah, I agree, and that's funny because that's the note that I had too. Right, I would say their guard play, just specifically their guard play, is comparable, if not slightly better than Kansas. Let's be honest, RJ Davis is probably going to win Player of the Year, right? But they're tiny. They're so small. I mean, their center, I think, is 6'9", and you're talking Kansas has 7'1", right? And that's 4 inches, but it's a huge difference when you're talking about the boards. On top of that, right, UNC is very streaky from the field. I mean, they can either shoot 60% for a game, or they could shoot 28. And sometimes it's 28 and you lose by 30, right? So what happened is they graduated Armando Bacot, who was their powerhouse power forward center guy, where it's not only was he a defensive anchor, but if you need a bucket, if your team isn't shooting very well, give him the ball, let him go to work. And that's what they did, and they lost that. So it's to me, that easy bucket, that easy inside presence is no longer there, which makes me highly concerned versus the talented wings of Kansas. And I'll give it back to you here in a second. But talking about Kansas quickly, Hunter Dickinson averaged 18 points a game last year on 55% shooting from the field. 18 a game on 55% shooting from the field. And he's returning this year. And we pretend that's not going to improve over the offseason. He's going to get better, right? UNC doesn't have the size or the skill to guard that position. Kansas is shooting 49% from the field last year. Now, the problem is they fall in love with a three-pointer too much. 195 out of 600 attempts in 23-24. If that repeats itself this year, it's bad. It's 33%, right? If that repeats itself this year, they're in trouble. They're fully in trouble. So I'm still up in the air on who I'm going to choose because both of these teams, in my opinion, are so heavily flawed. So I'm confused about this one, Rick. I really am.
Yeah, Kansas should be fine. They returned like 64% of minutes, like 60% of points,
right?
And got better. They're so much better on the wings.
Yeah,
I mean, AJ Storr, partial to because where he came from. Zeke Mayo. I mean, even Griffin to a certain extent, it just makes this team deeper.
Yeah.
One of the big problems they had last year is they got hurt and they got beat up and they just didn't have the depth to play serious basketball.
Right.
A new look-ish Big 12, but better basketball in the Big 12. And then come tournament time, they just couldn't hang, man. They weren't deep enough to go toe to toe with elite level teams.
Yeah.
You've got it now on the wings.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as they stay healthy, they might be one of the deepest offensive teams in the country.
Yeah.
Now you still have to prove it on the defensive side of the court. You still have to prove it on the boards, but this Kansas team is going to shoot the lights out. And I think for me, in a matchup like this, early in the season, talent's going to win. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's there. Everyone's ready to go. So if you also tell me that like their third unit in is going to outshoot UNC's second unit, Kansas probably wins this one. And the final score makes it look worse than it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they'll have the guys out there just shooting the lights out against all the backups. And I mean, maybe they win by 10, but in reality, it's like a 3-point game.
Right. Yeah. And I think I'm leaning that way too. I am leaning Kansas just because I think UNC is too consistent. I don't think they have good coaching. And I think they're too small. I'm just worried. It's funny you're saying they're going to shoot the lights out, which they're deep at the wing, so they might this year. But they need to make sure to establish their inside presence with their size prior to scooting back 22 feet and start firing off threes. Because as far as I'm concerned, based on the last 2 seasons of history, they're not a good 3-point shooting team, right? Now that's subject to change given the depth that you just called out, but that scares me because, with the way the game is going, threes matter, man. So if you're not shooting at a high clip there, like, you're going to be prone to some losses to some of these like Iowa States or these Baylors, right? So like to me, that's what I'm looking out for.
Should be a good one.
Oh yeah.
Watch for that on Chainlink. That might be tagged something special. That might be a dead ball dancing special of the week.
I think we should. I think we should make it a special. But I think so. Do we both choose Kansas? Is that what we chose?
Yeah, I think I have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna choose Kansas. I'm gonna choose Kansas by 8.
Yeah, I'll probably end up laying the points and betting the over.
Yeah. But money line Kansas for sure.
Yeah. All right. So third segment every week. We're still kind of working on what we want it to look like. Yeah. If you have ideas for a third segment, throw it our way and we will work it in. So we're going to try to keep it fresh, try to keep it new. Yeah. But this week, we have our favorite off-season storyline. Justin, you have anything that really stood out to you during the off-season that you would love to talk about?
Yeah, I was really going to take this opportunity, Rick, to kind of shit on Calipari going to Arkansas, but I restrained myself. I recognized my bias, and I went a different direction. So I'm very proud of my growth there. Thank you. I'm going to choose Rick Pitino at St. John's. And I know that's kind of it's not his first year, so it's not really a story. But let me expound a little bit. So his first year at St. John's, I would say, was a little bit underwhelming. The team performed pretty well. But I think, when you hear Rick Pitino and the prestige surrounding his name and how much success he's had, you're like, wish that we wanted a little more, right? But I never, until I dug into it, I didn't realize the second year success that Pitino has had at every program he's been at. I mean, it's scary. So let me just run through a couple things really quick. So his second year at Providence, right? It was the only time I believe that Providence made the Final Four. The Final Four. And I mean, this is a mid-major team, man. I mean, this is not like, I know it's the tournament, but I don't think anyone was anticipating Providence to make it that far. Second year at Kentucky, right? He won the entire SEC. Now, again, it's not nowadays SEC where it was loaded, right? But it was still the SEC. He still had some teams, some powerhouse teams in there. And then when he was at Iona, his second year, they went 17-3 in conference play, and I believe earned a tournament bid and won, I think, like 1 or 2 games that in the tournament that year too. So I know St. John's is on our fringe top 25, I believe, or maybe within our top 25 for our DBD top 25. But I'm expecting huge things out of St. John's this year. Not only success in conference and out of conference, but I'm talking a big, big run in the tournament. It's just history. I mean, you think about the talent this guy has coached over his tenure and just how he's been able to create a cohesive, team first environment. And it's impressive to me at every spot he's been at. So, I'm expecting big things out of Rick Pitino this year in the front.
St. John's 21 on the Dead Ball Dancing top 25, by the way.
Yep. And that can go up quick. I mean, they got some good opponents early on. So keep an eye on.
So mine, I went a little chintzy. I went a little soft on mine. I love mid majors.
Me too.
And I love nonsense. I absolutely love promotions, weird stuff. And I found this story. I was putting together my off-season storyline for the glow up of the Big Ten. A bunch of bullshit was even going to come out of my mouth. And I found this story, and I figured, you know what? Let's focus on something that is a feel good. Yeah. And so for me, it's Coastal Carolina, who has a place close to my heart, at least for football.
Coastal Carolina. Okay.
They're doing a thing this year. They're calling it the "We Win, You Win" money back guarantee. This is a small school. It's a small gym. They got 3,200 seats. They aren't a basketball school. They aren't good at basketball. Ken Palm's got them at 295.
Oh my God, dude!
And here's the promotion. Get the community out there, get the students out there. If the men and the women's teams win a combined 35 games, you get your money back on your season tickets.
Should we get out there and start getting some season tickets, dude?
Honestly, I'll take my shirt off and I'll scream for every single free throw. I'll be at every single game. But I just thought it was a really cool way to get not only the student body, but the local community involved, and not just the men's team, but the women's team as well. What a cool promotion.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I love, right? Give me a t-shirt cannon, give me a stake in the game. That's the part of minor league baseball that I love. NBA does that stuff really well. Promotions really, really well. But I saw this for Coastal, and I'm all the way in. So good job, Coastal.
Yeah,
great job in the athletic department, the promotions department. That's a really cool one.
Yeah, they must have a lot of faith in their team sucking though. If this combined 35, bro.
That's the other thing I was thinking of. You get both teams to 15 wins, you start sweating that.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Season tickets still aren't that cheap. You're still dropping $1,000 or $2,000. Can you imagine doling out 3,200 tickets times $1,000 each?
Right?
I don't know, bro. That's awesome. Oh, that's a great story. Yeah, that's a great story. I want to see mid-majors succeed. So it's whatever promotions they got to do, man. I'm for it.
Yeah, just pack the gym and get some noise going in there, and I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Absolutely. That's a good one, man. That's a great one.
Hey, did you have anything else for the first week here?
No. I'm just gonna be screaming for Purdue. So I know they're at risk at your 14 slot there.
They're up right now.
Yeah, well, we're playing Corpus Christi, so
Well, you know what? But those are the ones you had. They're only up by 9.
This is gonna be a rough year, dude. But yeah, no, I'm good, man. I'm just excited to be doing this every week. I'm excited to see the changes in our top 25 next week. I think there's gonna be a lot of movement. I think there's gonna be a lot of movement up and down. So I'm just hyped. Basketball season's back, baby.
Basketball is back, and you can pick damn near every game on Chainlink. Check that out. I will update the description of this video with a link, but if you go anywhere, there's Club 602 stuff we're linked through. It's also at www.chainlink.st. That's a throwback to Streak for the Cash for those in the know. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for the season, very excited for Dead Ball Dancing. We'll keep doing this weekly until we feel the need to do more, and then we'll jump ahead. But is
it too early to say that I'm already getting the feeling to do more? Just wanted to throw that out there for the people.
I don't think so, because the problem is you and me, we're gonna keep splitting our games of the week, like early week, late week. So we might just need like game of the half week.
Bi-weekly to bi-weekly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Look out for the Dead Ball Dancing promotion for the game of the week on Chainlink. Right, we're doing that. Do it. Let's run.
Hell yeah. I'll get it done. We'll figure it out. I gotta talk to the programmer.
Oh, true. Awesome. This was fun, man.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Let us know. Obviously, still work in progress. Let us know what you want to see, and definitely drop us in some third segment ideas, because we want to keep it fresh. Want to keep it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. Dead Ball Dancing. Enjoy week 1. Get those bets in. There's some big games this week. I am at King of Lakemore just about everywhere you can find me.
Justin Abraham. See you guys next week.
Peace.